Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely.
I appreciate
Thanks for
you.
having us.
Yeah,
Yeah, right on.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. I'm not.
Good to be back.
Usually I plan these things out sort of where I want them to go, but this time I thought, well, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah.
I know you've been on before, Luke.
Yeah.
We always have good conversations, and you keep telling me, you got to talk to my brother.
Hey,
And,
I'm telling you, man. I tell
Yeah.
everybody they need to talk to him. Yeah.
yeah, so we met, but this is the first time we've ever met in person.
Yep.
And it's going to be cool to talk to you, man.
Likewise.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. Same here. Yeah, he's told me quite a few things, just about the group that's here in town, the different guys that he's had a chance to talk to. Obviously, I watched the podcast episode from the last time he was on, and a lot of that feels very familiar to the experience that I had with him. One-on-one, we spend a lot of time talking through things to great depth, and sometimes it's, I would say, embarrassing, depends on what topic we get to, all the way up to, really inspiring and fuels, the energy, buckets and fills them up to a point where you can actually get up and go do things and have that passion and zest for life again. Anything in between, right? That's what life is. It's the highs and the lows and everything in between it. And we've had the privilege of growing up together and having different experiences and be able to come together and find the common ground, even from different backgrounds. So it's been fun. So I'm looking forward to sharing whatever comes up here.
Yeah, that's cool. You guys are brothers.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Yep.
And what you said, man, I like that about Luke. I'm sure you're like this too, but like I wake up early in the morning and I'm doing stuff and I have plans and I'm trying to conquer the world every day, just like Pinky.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, but sometimes I think, I'm going to reach out to this person or that person. I'm like, oh man, these people are all sleeping.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like leave them alone until 10 or whatever people normally do.
Yep.
But I can always count on my inbox. Like sometimes Luke beats me to my inbox with these inspirational videos and these different things. I'm like, yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I start my day now. I thought I started early before, but now that I'm delivering papers for the Tribune, I wake up, I start my day at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning now.
Oof.
Yeah, so 5 days a week.
Man, that's early.
Yeah.
I ain't even been to bed yet.
Yes, most of the time I haven't. That's an issue that I have. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. So like I'll start this morning. I started my paper route. It was 3:30 in the morning. Got done with it. I rolled back into the house around 5:15, 5:30, and laid down. Took a hour and a half nap. Woke back up. Started doing my thing for the day. So
That's crazy.
yeah, good times.
I mean, I
Good
did
times.
that when I was really young, and I loved it.
Yeah, I feel old right now, but that's part of it. Been putting a lot of work in. Even between the two jobs outside of what we're doing, I'm putting quite a few hours into our online base and stuff like that right now. So
Yeah, I like that. I like talking to you right now. I've told you this before. To talk to somebody in the transition.
Yeah.
That transition from working for somebody to independent success and wealth. Man, what a hard time
yeah,
to work
I
and
don't
to
know
work
if I've heard
towards.
a bigger truth, like in recent history for me, than that right there.
Yeah.
The transition is the hardest phase. It is believing in yourself every day that what you're doing, the path you're on, is a worthwhile path, because there is everything around you that's going to help pull you back. Because that's the way the world works. Is people are afraid of taking that leap to bet on themselves in a big way. Everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, because not literally, but the vast majority of people do not have that ambition. They do not have that intestinal fortitude to step out in faith and trust that what they're doing is going to be the right thing for them.
Yeah, the safety zone, the comfort zone.
Complacency will kill you. It'll kill everything about you, your drive, your inspiration, your passion.
Yeah.
And that transition, it's hard to go from a place of comfort, to go from a place of stability and structure to a place of, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know where I'm going, but I have a vision and a dream. I'll figure it out along the way, each step, one step at a time. I'll figure out what's next. Where can I go? How can I make this better?
I think I'm kind of lucky in the fact that I've never really had a set structure because of what I've done in the past. And so the idea of a comfort zone, like I've never been comfortable. I've been broke. I've been hurt. I've been doing things that made you uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Every day I was uncomfortable for a very long time. So I think that maybe this is the first time it kind of clicked in my head that maybe it's not as hard for me to take that step because Wait, coming from where I'm coming from, it's
That's a good
what's
point.
worse.
First time you ever thought of it as a blessing?
Yeah, it really is. It kind of clicked just now. Yeah,
and I think that's one of the things that makes his life and my life and coming together to do something meaningful together, two very different worlds, right? My world has been structured and stable and moving forward in the quote unquote societal successes. And I've still found myself to the same place where he's at, where there's got to be something more. I know I'm meant for something more than what I've had, even though I've had the success that the world says you should have. Nah, there's still something more. I don't have that satisfaction in my soul the way that I would want.
That's sort of the theme, when you start talking about the transition and the difficult things and how it's so hard to make the transition and to people that are in a real comfortable place, it sounds terrible. But it's almost not until you have a really big crisis do you realize what you were missing by not doing the difficult things. Mm-hmm. Like you were talking about, the amount of meaning you get from taking on huge challenges every day is it's better than comfort by a lot.
Yeah,
it's not easier than comfort.
I tell you what, every day that I've woke up since we started doing this, you can ask him. I blow him up every day. Hey, man, we're doing this. Today's the day. We're growing right now. I don't know if you noticed the numbers, but we're growing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So every single day.
Every day?
Probably to the point where he's tired of it.
No, I'm not tired of it.
Yeah.
I want to hear about it. What is it you guys are doing? What are we talking about?
So, I'm taking content that me and you created and a few other things that we're working with AI and stuff like that to create content for our coaching business. Mm-hmm. That's really what we're doing, is building
life coaching.
Yeah, life coaching, financial coaching, professional business coaching. Yeah, those are the 3 services that we're offering there. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, we're building an audience right now. That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's great.
I mean, we're pretty early, right? The content that we do have is relatively limited at this point, but the ideas, the vision is very grand. We're just at early phases of it.
Yeah,
right?
We just 2 days ago, 3 days ago, we ended up we've got 10 courses now where we've got digital content and text content, stuff like that, to where we can offer courses you can do yourself, or we can guide you through them. So that's something that we got just the other day, and I'm pretty excited about that, actually. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. There's one thing I've learned, it's that we all could use, somebody that's been there, done that, or at least, gone through transition periods in life that were uncomfortable, painful, even catastrophic to some degree. Anyone could benefit from someone that's been through that and succeeded after the fact. They've grown from that experience. They've come from the pit up to the mountaintop again, or at least they're climbing the mountain. They may not be to the top yet, but they're working on it. I think any of us, regardless of where we're at, can learn something from somebody that's gone through tragedy, just like we could learn from somebody that's been through the successes as well. There's benefits to both sides of that, and both of us different lifestyles, but we've been in the same place where we found ourselves at the bottom of the pit, in real pain, in real struggle, and then we're still looking for the hope and the dream of there's more to this, and all the things that we've done have led us to a place where we didn't want to be, but yet here we are.
Right.
How can we make the best of this?
That's exactly right, man. That's so good. Most of my life, like everybody else, I had this weird idea that the best teacher would be somebody who was like perfect. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like you have this weird way of thinking, like, okay, well, if a person is great at teaching something, they must have been born perfect at it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That idea is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But for some reason I carried it around till I was like 30 something.
Yeah.
And then you learn, like, no, man, the people that can teach you the best about something are the people that really screwed it up once or twice and then figured out how to be successful.
Yeah, they found those holes and plugged them.
Yeah, so you really don't want to be listening to people that are successful who've never failed.
Right.
Because they really don't have that much to offer. I'm like, cool, you had a good idea and it worked for you.
Right, yeah.
You got lucky.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
If that even ever happens. I don't know that I've ever met anybody where that's actually the
case.
the
first attempt at success was successful.
Yeah, maybe people lying and say that's the case.
Maybe people that were handed something and just continued success, but I don't know about from nothing to successful
pretending
on
like
first try. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of contention around whether or not Thomas Edison truly invented the light bulb or not, but I know that there's a famous quote talking about the 10,000 attempts that he had at creating a light bulb, and it's like, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I just found 10,000 ways that don't work.
Right.
There's a lot of learning that happened in there. You come up with an idea. You try it. Did it work? Did it not? Why? Start digging in, right? If you dig in, you're going to learn so much more about what does and doesn't work and the reasons why it does or does not work. Mm-hmm. You can learn so much more from that.
Yeah, that's why I like finding people that have screwed something up but have become successful or figured out a way past it, man, because they can just tell you the truth.
It's the problem solving that comes with that, right? You're faced with some sort of adversity, but you still have the passion to solve whatever your initial problem was.
Yeah.
Bust through that wall. You'll figure it out if you're really driven enough to do it, and that learning is invaluable. It really is.
I agree, and you guys, both to one degree or another, are people who overcame something.
Yeah,
and people who overcame something, to me, are who I seek out to talk to learn from, to ask questions to, because you know something. You didn't quit, you didn't die, you didn't give up.
Right.
Yeah.
There were days where it felt like it.
Yeah.
There were days that I didn't want to, push through or any of that. But at the end of the day, I don't want to give up either, right? What story is that? Is that really the story I want to leave as my legacy? Absolutely not. And that always trumps the pain, the hurt, the confusion, the fails, because those are going to come whether you're successful or not. You're going to screw something up. You're going to be imperfect, right? What's the legacy you want to leave? And it's not one of, he gave up, he quit when it got hard. That's not what I want. A lot of people stop there because it hurts.
Yeah.
It requires so much more out of you. What do you want more? You want to be temporarily, happy, temporarily not in pain? You want to numb it all, or do you want to actually do something that's meaningful? Sometimes people are actually going to look at you and be proud.
Numb it. Sometimes you do.
On the dark days, sometimes that is what's necessary, right? But it's not allowing that to become the standard practice all the time and become the habitual, active.
Is it what you want most, or is it what you want now?
Right.
That's the question, right?
And sometimes it's easy to flex in and out of that. Or I think even to some degree it's required to flex in and out of that. That's what helps keep you sane, at least in my opinion. Helps keep me sane.
Quit for a day, not for a year.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes quit for a week, right?
Yeah.
It all depends. I mean, there's
sometimes don't quit for a week.
Sometimes don't quit for a week.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of truth in that. And even I know I've been bothering him this week, but until yesterday I was out of town. I took my motorcycle south with no plan to do anything except just be on the bike for several days, just be outside and be around good weather and just do things that fuel my soul, where I don't have to care about everything else. I don't have the mental capability today to focus on. I need to take a moment to rest. If I don't rest, I'm never going to be worth anything next week or the week after.
Yeah, that might be an important designation to make on definitions.
Yeah.
Because to me, going on a motorcycle adventure is a worthwhile endeavor.
Yeah.
That's not really a quitting thing.
Yeah, that wasn't a waste of time, in my opinion, either.
Totally.
Yeah, and I think that's probably, you're right, that is a difference of definition. You got to define it the right way.
The person you were supposed to be doing work for might think you gave up on it.
Right.
But to somebody else who can't get off the couch, they would think that extremely ambitious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This week, right, like we're actively trying to build things. We're actively trying to launch different aspects. And I'm like, bro, I'm taking 5 days. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, man. All week long, I'm like, dude.
Oh, wait, so I thought this was an example. This is a real life story.
This is a real life story. I literally just got back not even 24 hours ago. Mm-hmm. My back is still sore from being on a bike in 35-degree weather for 7 straight hours.
Yeah, 16 messages later, I'm like, dude, can you just answer one of my questions? It would be fantastic if you could just take 30 seconds of your day and let me know what you think about this.
I have a story similar to that. So when I opened my second business, which was an enormous nightclub and sports bar, it was a crazy.
I remember it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was this moment. I was always the cool-headed one out of my partners and everybody. But 1 hour before open on the first night, I disappeared.
Yeah, it's perfect time.
And I was running everything pretty much.
Yeah,
I had partners, great people helping me, but nobody expected me not to be there.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't really deal with struggling through emotions as young. I have a lot of practice in controlling my emotions.
Yeah.
So they don't really interfere with my decision making very often. Mm-hmm. And but the hour right before opening, I lost that battle, and they were like all this anxiety
up
and
to
all,
here, you know?
Yeah, all these 10,000 things that I knew could go wrong. I was like, oh my God, this whole thing's going to explode, you know?
Yeah. Right now, right in front of my
Yeah,
eyes.
so I had to take a walk. It's the most inconvenient time. I did show up when we opened, but
But
yeah.
for that hour, everybody around you was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah, I had to go find peace, man.
Yeah, been
for
there.
sure. I was like, I'm in no shape to run this place right now.
Right.
And sometimes stepping away like that is exactly what you need to be able to make the rest of that night a success, right? Like, take that hour, go calm yourself, get to a place where you're centered, and you can come back and you're like, okay, I'm ready to actually do this. If I didn't step away, the first hour of this is going to be a disaster because I'm going to be all over the place. I'm not going to be focused. I'm not going to be centered. I'm going to say or do something that's going to be more detrimental than if I just step away for a moment.
That's
just trust
right.
that things are going to happen. We've already done the prep work. We're here. We're ready to go. I'm going to step out. Like, I need a minute because otherwise I'm going to step out when it really matters. There's going to be people here that we're going to be doing things. And now it's going to be overwhelming to me, and I'm not going to be able to handle it. Right. Now it's very public.
Yeah.
At least for me. I've
yeah,
come into
that's right. I
those
think
moments
that's right.
already.
I'm
So,
with you on that.
you know, if you've done all the prep work, the moment of should hopefully be a calming thing. And if it's not, go find your calm.
Yeah.
It'll be there.
Have faith, right? Trust.
Yeah, we're running into a lot of that right now. Having to have faith in ourselves and trust in each other, becoming business partners as brothers.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, you don't do business with family, but if I'm going to trust anybody with the other part of my business, why would it not be my brother? That's kind of how I see that. And like I said on the last time I was here, we share a lot of the same visions and a lot of the same ideas, even though we did live two different lives. So it's nice to have, but also stressful because you want to smack your brother in the face every now and then, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I think it's probably better because you can tell them that that's how you feel.
Right, yeah, without, you ain't going nowhere, you're my brother, so
Yeah.
sit down and shut up, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are very few people that I would say have had my back. When life really, hit you, there are very few people that have been there. And, the love of a brother is something that's very difficult to find in somebody that's not your brother, right?
Yeah.
It's
hard to find in a brother.
I mean, there's a lot of truth in that, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's periods of time where we didn't like each other.
Yeah, I've always loved you, but there's been times where I didn't like you. You're right.
Same, right? And that's the nature of it. But at the end of the day, we both show up for each other. When it really matters, you show up for the people that you care about. And who better to have as a business partner in whatever venture you're going to do? Because it's going to get hard, right? Show up.
And I like that you guys aren't quite the same. Because you know, when you're overlapping for business stuff, different perspectives and different skills and different ways of doing things are great to have more than one choice.
We think a lot alike, but the way we get to our solutions is much different. Like, our outcomes can be the same, but how we went about it, two completely different ways.
Yeah, I could feel like maybe yours would be like a more creative approach, and then
he's a very analytical and logical. And,
right.
Yeah.
Rigid.
Yeah. I'm not as rigid as you would think, but at the same time, my process it is very structured, right? I'm willing to flex in and out of different ideas, but I'm going to follow a repeatable pattern that I know works as my default method. And then if I hear something that is inspirational, like, yeah, I really like that, let's do it that way instead. I trust that your thoughts on this are going to be better than what mine are because I'm not as experienced in whatever that idea is, or I don't think my default strategy is the right one for here, right? And so being able to be willing to step off of that rigidity, I think is a benefit, right? I can bring some structure, let's follow this, but hey, man, like, your contributions are going to be more valuable. It's going to level us up to a different place.
Yeah, I can totally get that. That's so true. And then I think with coaching people too, you can probably take advantage of that. Like, you'll understand twice as many people. Like if you're like, man, I just don't get this.
Right. Let me bring my brother in.
Yeah, because he thinks more like you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to have somebody to say, hey, I might not be the right fit to coach you, but I have somebody here who has been through more similar things in your life than I have been.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to send you over here to him. It's nice to be able to have that option for sure.
Yeah, that's so true. This I like this conversation we were on. I have more questions for you guys, but this conversation we were on about doing difficult things. I think about this all the time for myself and for other people. And I always recommend to people to voluntarily engage in struggle when times are good. Mm-hmm. Because I found that for me, my biggest mistake was letting my guard down when I was doing well.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy for me to tell, like, okay, I need to do a bunch of stuff when I'm screwing up or not growing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I kept repeating this pattern, years ago, where, like, as soon as I started doing well consistently, I just forgot about improving, forgot about maintaining, and forgot about the bottom. Yep. And then I would screw a bunch of shit up, and I'd be like, why did I do that?
Yep.
Like, how did I forget all the lessons that I've learned over and over and over
Subconsciously, again? You said, you know what, I need some struggle. Let me mess some things up.
Yeah, that's right. Self-sabotage.
Create some problems for myself to solve.
I think you're right. Yeah, so now I do this, and I recommend other people do, and to always just be voluntarily seeking out struggle and challenges. Yeah. For a lot of reasons. One, it's great to pick them instead of have them find you, right?
Whew. Yes, sir.
Because when they find you, it's not what you would have picked.
And you're also not prepared, and you don't have the desire to tackle it in the same way as if you picked it. Because if you pick it, you've got a reason that you're picking it. There's some reason, there's some driving force. When it hits you in the face unexpectedly, it's like, oh shit, now what? Because now you got to regroup and deal with the pain all at once, right?
Yeah.
So
that's right. It sneaks up on you, and then sometimes you don't even know it's happening until it's like, oh man.
Yeah.
So speaking of struggle, the other day I was watching some people talk, and there was a study done where I forget the name of the part of the brain, but when you do something that you don't want to do that is hard to do, there's a part of the brain where it actually grows when you do that. And they decided after doing all this research that they believe that people that consistently do hard things that they don't want to do actually have a stronger will to live than people that don't. And so basically they correlated that the bigger that part of the brain, the more will to live you have.
Like they grow more of a will to live, or they were just born with it and that's why they do it?
It actually grows. Like,
sure.
The more you do it, the bigger it gets. And if you stop doing things that are hard or that you want to do, even if it's hard and you want to do it.
You can improve the quality and meaningfulness of your life and want to live.
Yeah.
It's a very physiological change, just like a muscle, right? You go to the gym and you lift a weight over and over and over. That muscle is going to grow, or at least it's going to have some endurance that it didn't have before. Same thing here. It's not an area of the body you would normally think is going to grow because of the exercise that it gets, but it is.
Yeah.
It is a physiological change that does happen. The more you stress it, the more you push yourself, the more that grows, and your capacity levels up. Your ability to not make mountains out of molehills. You just see the world different. Everything is different at that point because of the fact you've pushed yourself.
I love that conversation. I love that conversation in our culture because for so many years, every time somebody would talk about doing things, people would, the idea was that it was just psychology you were messing with.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's real. It's reality. It's physiology. It's kinesiology. It's everything. And now scientists are very much finding out that to be the case with neuroplasticity and neurogeneration and epigenetics and all of these things. Scientists are like, oh, man, it turns out that
it's all connected. Who would have thought?
Yeah, something actually happens. Now that, we know thoughts are actually made of something.
Yeah, they actually exist. It's not
and they impact reality and matter and, existence. And it's like, we kind of knew that,
right?
But
I think as a society we just forgot it. It's not that we never knew it. I think we just forgot it.
Yeah,
I feel like back before, people seemed to understand that we were, able to create our realities.
That's a good point. That's a good conversation. It's like we knew a lot of stuff in our ancestral history. We just didn't know scientifically why it worked. And then we started this whole scientific materialist movement, and it was almost like we got to a point where science hadn't explained it yet. We didn't believe it was true.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
I almost said that same thing just a moment ago.
Really?
I think now, because of the information age that we live in, people are so skeptical of anything they hear that doesn't have some sort of scientific study that's done, that's proved it, hundreds of times or thousands of times.
Peer
They're so
reviewed
skeptical because of everything on the internet's true, right? Everyone knows that.
Yeah,
and it's just not the reality. reality. But you talk about something that is understood by a whole society the way it has been for millennia, of your thoughts, your spirit, your body. It's all connected to the environment around you. You're all the same thing. We're all energy. We're all connected. What you think impacts your body, how you feel, how you move, what you can do. And then the outward, implementation of that can change everything around you.
Your
so
thoughts become your emotions, and your emotions become your actions, and your actions become
because
habits.
It's something that's intrinsic to who you are, the things that you think and feel inside. It's hard to explain that scientifically if you don't have the information. And so when somebody hears that, or like I could come on here and talk about my experience, you could talk about your experience. Unless you have something to back it, somebody's going to go, that feels a little funny. It feels like you're just kind of emotional, or you got some weird thing going on.
Right.
But then, now we actually have people, like a lot of people are getting on board with that. And there are studies that are proving it's like, oh, it actually makes sense now. Everybody's getting back to the point where emotions and thinking and like the things that are good for you as a human become the forefront of their mind. They're actually putting, some real stock in that rather than...
There's definitely an awakening happening
of
people that are realizing that you are in control of your life. And I think that's why, coaching is such a big deal right now, and it's booming right now, is because people are starting to wake up, but they don't know how to change their thinking and change their language and how they're forming their reality. So they're looking for guidance on how to do just that.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree with you. That's why I just wrote this book that's going to come out the 10th of next month.
Yeah, I you were nice enough to give me a copy ahead of time, and I'm not quite through it, but what I've read so far is unbelievably aligned with what I've been learning over the last 5-6 years of my life. So the more I dig into it, the more I'm like, this guy knows. He gets it. Yeah. So.
There was a lot of stuff I wanted to do in there, but there was one thing, like this running theme in my head. I was like, can I also work it in there to where any of the many people that get persuaded or ideological captured or whatever along the way, at some point all these people decide that they don't want to be that anymore.
Yeah.
They have to figure out how to get out of that.
Yeah.
Like how can I say this to where it will encourage these people to take those steps to become their sovereign self and trust themselves and figure out how to find out what's true and what's not for themselves, so they don't have to listen to everybody.
Yeah, instead of, like I could see where there were parts where, depending on, religious belief or, how people were raised and, raised to think, where they would read some things and some passages in there where they're like, if they were closed-minded, you know what I mean? They just reject it completely before they even gave it a chance. So I like how you approached the different things that I've seen so far in the book, and how you try to ease their mind almost into, you don't have to accept it as the absolute truth, but just, entertain the idea for a second here.
Yeah, try it on for size, right?
Yeah, look and see for yourself.
It's a fitting room. You don't go to the store and just always buy the thing right off the rack just because that's what the tag says. That doesn't mean it's always going to fit or it's always going to be flattering to you as a person.
Yeah.
Go try it on. How does it fit? How does it feel? Does it feel good? Does it feel right? Does it feel like the right thing to do?
Yeah. Did your grandparents think that what you're doing right now is right, or do you think that what you're doing right now is right?
Well, and then to be able to test it.
Yeah.
Just because it feels good, there's a lot of stuff that feels good I shouldn't do. But then you do it, and then you find out, and then you really have to ask yourself the truth. All right, did that make my life better?
Yeah.
Really?
Overall, not just for the moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we talked about the whole what feels good now versus what feels good later, right? That's that in practice. Right?
Yeah.
That's the struggle.
Yeah, the good old dopamine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talked about cocaine being a hell of a drug. I'm pretty sure dopamine is a hell of a drug. That can mess up your whole life in a lot of ways.
Yeah. So
drug.
I was watching something last night, and they were talking about serotonin disorder, I think is what they call it, where apparently if you're on some antidepressants, I think they're called SSRIs.
SSRIs?
Yeah. So it's like a serotonin booster. If you do certain drugs while on those, you can actually overload your body and die because of too much serotonin. And I literally heard about this last night, and it blew my mind that's a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's real specific, but what you're really saying is if you take a bunch of drugs and then take a bunch of different drugs, you could die.
I guess you're right.
So-
Who would have thought if you doubled up on the dose?
But it's
could cause
important.
problems.
It's important to say it like that because oftentimes with prescriptions and stuff, we forget that they are drugs.
Yeah,
Even
absolutely.
even though a guy in a white coat gave it to you,
It's still a chemical compound that changes your brain chemistry.
it still could blow up your brain.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, like it can cause seizures. It can cause like I saw like people's eyes were like jittering back and forth.
No way.
And, like, oh yeah, man, it was very intense.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, and the reason I found this out is because my significant other is taking one of these antidepressants right now, and we were looking through like all the different side effects and
They
like,
just
what
hand
to
them
do,
out
what
to
not to do.
anybody.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong there.
And I'm not. I don't know shit about them, honestly, but I know it seems crazy to be handing out brain-changing drugs to whoever walks in there that seems to be unhappy.
Right. Instead of just saying, hey, maybe you should exercise and see the sun every now and then, they're like, here's a pill. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that can't be the best way.
Yeah, I heard Jim Carrey was actually talking about depression, and he said, I'm not saying that depression's not real, but if you're not exercising regularly, eating a decent diet, and seeing the sun, how are you giving yourself a chance to not be depressed?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Go lay in your front yard after having a good, healthy breakfast. Go lay out there for 30 minutes in the sunshine. Just lay in the grass. Put your feet, your hands in there. I guarantee it'll change how you view that day, how you feel about that day, your ability to get up and move.
You ever heard about grounding?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Those
100%.
are good prescriptions, and I think they should be handing out those prescriptions. But it is worth mentioning
They don't make money. That's the problem.
right. But I think it's worth mentioning too, on behalf of depressed people. If you are depressed, you are not going to think of that.
Oh, absolutely.
You
not.
need that prescription.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somebody who's a doctor, or whoever, coach, I feel like it's their responsibility for a depressed person
offer
to be
those
like,
things.
okay, yeah, well, there are medical treatments I can do. I'm a doctor, but
Right.
I want you to do all these other things too.
Let's eliminate some things that don't change your body chemistry from the outside. Let's do some things that change it from the inside, where you're changing your
Yeah,
body
you have to make
chemistry.
an effort. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the best way. Like I talked about it last time I was here about how I was on antidepressants and did a lot of research on how to rewire my own brain and things like that, and change my neural pathways. And I am so glad that I did that research and I did those. I did speeches on it in college and different things like that. I actually gave a speech on it was called How to Be Happy. And I had never had a reaction to a speech like I did that speech. I did a 15-minute PowerPoint presentation on how to be happy. And every single college student in that class was like, I have a question, sir. Please, can you tell me some more? And so it works, but it was definitely the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. So.
It is interesting. I like the overall theme of our conversation right now is something like, science is useful and important, but science doesn't know anything about experience or consciousness.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah, not
yet.
as a whole.
So just because science can't explain it yet doesn't mean it doesn't exist or there's nothing you should do about it.
Yeah, like we used to be the center of the universe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the Earth is still flat, right?
Hey, depending on who you talk to, I tell you what, man, I've talked to some flat earthers that were pretty convincing.
That should tell you all you need to know about persuasion. Though. If somebody can be persuasive that the Earth is flat.
I had a conversation with a man, and at the end of it, I was like, "Does he have me convinced that the Earth is flat right now? Because I'm pretty sure he does."
Yeah. But even like what you're talking about, you take the antidepressants, then you had work still to do. The antidepressant didn't do the work.
It didn't solve the problem. It was a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
And even for me, I was on antidepressants for almost 3 years. And in that 3-year time frame, the way I described the way it helped me was it leveled out the high highs and the low lows to a place where, I felt a little bit more numb, but I was able to breathe. I was able to actually function in the day.
It gave you a break from
the heaviness of what that depressive period of time was for me.
Got your feet under you.
It did. And then from there, then the real work began. How do you change what's going on? How do you view the world? That's where all of that extra work comes in, and that's what's going to change your life.
Yeah, that's
the
tricky.
pill won't.
And that's tricky because depression, one of the first things it really seems to do for people is cause them to become apathetic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to think, I need to put effort in to save my life when the very thing that's hurting you is
your life.
Yeah, you don't like it anyway. You know,
Right.
That's a weird.
It's hard to get that
disorder.
drive when, like you
Yeah.
said, when you feel like, what's the point if
Yeah.
I don't even like what I'm fighting for?
And I'm speculating because I've no experience with depression.
You know, before I had experience with depression, I thought it was, kind of BS. You know what I mean? People are like, "Oh, I'm down and I just can't get it." And it's like,
I don't think
wait,
it's BS myself, but I don't understand it.
Right, I used to, and then I experienced it myself, and I realized really quick that, hey, this, they're not just sad. You know, it really is, something wrong. There is
I've seen
something
it.
wrong.
I've seen it myself. People saying, "I want to be happy. I want to be okay, but I can't." That's such a fucking weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, well, who else can for you?
Yeah, no, I can't make you happy. That,
Right.
Like I can't do that for you. I wish I could. I'd hand
Right.
it out.
I mean,
I'd hand it out.
logically speaking, you're the one making you feel bad, and you're the only one that can make you feel good. So that's such
Do
a weird.
that.
It's a weird thing, man, and it's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. The paralysis that you face from it, and the lack of self-confidence, I think, is something that a lot of people with depression face. Is, when you're depressed, you feel like you can't accomplish that. So even if you do know how to go about it, getting up and doing it, it becomes an unbelievable task.
So you think a coach can drag you out of it? I think so.
I absolutely think so. With holding accountability, giving you tools to, we talked about celebrating small wins, setting up little steps to take to, reinvigorate and, reinstill that sense of confidence in yourself. It does huge things for people.
Well, you're full every single day. You're full of decisions that you have to make, and whether or not you step up to the plate and succeed at what each one of those things take. And if you're not willing to celebrate the daily life, the daily grind, what did I do well today? Even if it was small, I made my bed. Congratulations. You have achieved something today of success. You redefine what your win is by saying, my win isn't just, I've got millions of dollars in the bank, and I've got, the beautiful partner, I've got the kids, I've got the job, I've got all the things.
I woke
that
up and
society
life is great.
I woke up today and I saw the sun. How great of an experience is that?
I woke up.
How thankful should you be at the fact that you woke up? You could stand on your 2 feet. Obviously, not everyone can do that, but those of us that are able-bodied, stand on your 2 feet. Use your 2 hands to create something. Find the joy and the passion and the win in each of those things. Celebrate those wins, because if you do that and you can find it in the daily life, the small things, your life is going to be one of gratitude and thankfulness and passion and fuel for life, and you're going to find the joy that is way more lasting.
Yeah, I heard Jordan Peterson. I listen to him a lot, and he can be controversial at times, but depending on who you're talking to. Some people.
I don't agree with everything he says, but I still like hearing him say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
it's intriguing whether or not it's right, wrong, or
he's like
indifferent,
apocalyptic speaker.
Oh man, when he speaks, it's like it's the truth. You know what I mean?
It does sound
and
like
whether
it,
it's the truth or not, it's the truth.
Yeah.
But no, I was listening to him talk. You know what? It's gone. It's gone. What were you just saying?
I was talking about celebrating the daily wins.
Oh, the little so he was talking about how life isn't Mai Tais on the beach in Jamaica. You know what I mean? That's maybe 5 or 10% of your life. Maybe, if you're lucky, is spending time on the beach and enjoying, family and this and that. The rest of your time here on earth is, 80, 90% of it is the little things you do every day. An hour at breakfast with your wife or your kids. It's every day for an hour, not a week once a year.
Do that hour well. Yeah. It will change your life.
If you get that 80%, 85, 90% there in order, you got 90% of your life in check. You know what I mean? And that other 10%, you can handle a lot better when the 80% is taken care of.
It also feels that much better, right?
Yeah.
You can go enjoy that and be like, this is just a moment of rest and reflection, rather than this is an escape from the reality that I have.
Yeah.
This is a thing that I can go enjoy and take more satisfaction away from it. And when I come back to my life, I don't go back into that pit because I like my life. I'm doing that 80%, that 90% well.
Yeah.
I want to go home. I want to continue my life, but I also wanted to go have that joyous experience with people I care about and do things that I don't get to do day in and day out.
Yeah.
it changes how you view all of those positives. It's not an escape. It's an addition to how great of a life you already have.
Something else that I've came across recently that's been helpful is, when you're at the beach, be at the beach, and when you're at the office, be at the office. Don't be at the office thinking about the beach, or be at the beach thinking about the office, because then they're both ruined.
That's right. Yeah, present moment work.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Definitely.
Hearing that has changed the way I look at things daily now too.
A very practical way to implement that. I was grocery shopping with someone the other day, and there were a couple of kids with us, and one of the kids asked, "Hey, where are we going after this?" And the response from the other adult was, "Hey, we're here right now. We're doing this right now. Let's focus on this. Who cares what comes next? Let's do this. Let's be right here in this moment." And we were just grocery shopping. It's like, yeah, but you're here. You're doing this. This is the now. This is what you're experiencing. Look around you. Find things that you can do. Be here. Quit thinking about other things. Who cares what's next?
I was at Kroger yesterday at grocery shopping. Oh, no, sorry, Meijer. And I stopped. I smelled the flowers, right? There's a huge flower section. And
you literally stopped and smelled the flowers.
I when I was delivering FedEx packages and stuff, I'd do it too.
Yeah.
I'd stop on somebody's porch and I did it for probably 5 minutes in Meijer yesterday. And Olivia, my girlfriend, she looked at me and she said, "Are you done yet? Because you have pollen all over your nose." And so
At least it was yellow and not white.
Yeah. Well, depending on who you're talking to, But yeah. So she was. By the end of it, she was like, "Are you done, man?" And I'm like, I was smelling my flowers.
But see, that right there, that response from her is very, very much ingrained in all of us because of that's the way society has been, at least my life.
And they were about to close. We had 20 minutes to do what we needed to do. And she's like,
well,
bro,
that's a little
can you
different.
stop smelling the flowers and let's actually go get what we need to
I
get
struggle
here?
with that. I do struggle with that, what you're talking about too. Like it's sometimes, when you're an entrepreneur especially, like it's hard to enjoy something very long before you're like, I know I should be doing something productive.
Yeah.
Or if I don't do something productive, I feel like I let myself down,
Yeah.
See,
like you failed.
And you
Right.
talked
In a way.
earlier about definitions too, right? Define productive, right? Productive does not always have to be I'm executing something for some other goal or some work thing, or sometimes productivity is I'm going to stop and I'm going to spend 5 minutes smelling the flowers in Meijer because of what that does for me.
And
then
I took
tomorrow
the time.
I can go be the quote unquote productive somewhere else. Productivity is just an ill-defined word for a lot of people. And I think that's just another example.
I even took the time, like every flower that I smelled, I turned to her and described what I was smelling.
Yeah.
Like one of them was pool water on the bathroom floor at Kokomo Beach. That's what it smelled like. Okay.
It's not a good flower.
There was another one that smelled like booty sweat.
Remind me not to buy these flowers.
Oh no, yeah, I'll point them out for sure. But then there were some there. I mean, they smelled beautiful, and I smelled them more than once. And I smelled every flower that Meijer had yesterday.
That's great.
And that's an experience that you'll always have because you took those few minutes to do it.
Yeah,
it's a memory that you'll have. It's something that you can take away and be like, hey, it was worth it.
And
guess what?
I left there calm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We went in there in a hurry and like, oh, we got to get this and this. And I left after smelling those flowers and it was like, what stress?
Yeah. Here's what I love about this conversation. Often most overlooked thing, I think, among thinkers is how valuable your attention is.
Yeah.
Attention is, it's definitely the most valuable resource on the planet.
It's energy.
It actually predicts all things, and it predates, and it happens first. Almost anything you can think of starts with attention, and it ends with attention, and its goal is oriented towards your attention.
Yeah.
And it's so strange how you direct your attention completely changes your experience, your thoughts, your actions, and results.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
What a weird thing. And luckily, by great fortune, we can control our attention.
Yeah, thank God. So some of us can.
Well, that's the trick.
Well, that's
being
what
aware.
we're trying to do, right? Is teach people that you can control it. You can change what you're talking about.
You do choose what you think about. Believe it or not, you are in charge of that brain in your head.
Yeah.
It's often overlooked, though. People will be like, well, change your judgment, change how you think, change how you feel, change what you're doing or whatever. But you could have to start with, like, what are you paying attention to?
Yeah, what are you looking at all day, every day? And what are you feeding your brain all day, every day, if you're putting trash in, you're going to get trash out.
Well, I mean, you talked earlier about, you start the day by looking at inspirational, content, and he blows you up early in the morning, right before you even have a chance to, hit somebody else up, right?
And he was thinking he was up too early.
And he was up too early, right?
Right.
But like, it's that kind of thing. Like, even in the mundane, I'm going to scroll. I'm going to do the doom scroll thing, and so many people do it. What's the content? What's got your attention in that moment?
Yeah.
You can go do that doom scroll for a minute, but if it's inspirational,
I used to
it's
follow.
going to change how you think all day long. But if it's just the garbage content that's out there, that's 999% of it.
Yeah, and that in between
It's gonna
stage
change
between
everything.
sleep and awake is very important. When you first wake up, that first hour of the day, what you're feeding your brain, the first 15 minutes.
Sets
Yeah,
the tone.
if I'm going to pick up my phone, which I'm going to, you know what I mean? In today's society, 90% you're going to pick up your phone, right?
Yeah.
But when I pick up my phone, I'm not looking at Instagram models like I used to. You know,
Right.
it's not, a bunch of girls in bikinis or this or that, or it's literally 95% of my feed is nothing but change your mindset, be positive, do this, this, and this, make sure you're doing what you need to. I mean, it's very, you can ask the people around me, it's changed me because of the media that I'm intaking.
Yeah.
It's a huge change.
That's a
in
great
my thought process.
observation. A great observation. Just what you pay attention to in the first 15 minutes of your day changes you as a person
Literally.
completely.
Literally.
That's how powerful I think it's greatly overlooked how powerful control of attention is.
Yeah. Have you ever woke up, checked your inbox, got upset?
Yeah, ruin your day real quick.
It's happened to me plenty of times, right?
Yeah.
Like I've, my professional career has been in e-commerce, large e-commerce businesses for, over 15 years now. And the amount of times I woke up to a problem, a big problem, it's going to set the whole tone for my day. I wake up in the first 5 minutes, I'm pissed off. I'm pissed all day. And then there are other days where I wake up and somebody has sent me a text. Somebody has, sent me, an email, something that was really encouraging. And I'm like, damn, man, I can, no matter what comes my way, people out there, they care.
Yeah.
There are reasons to show up. There are reasons to wake up and go tackle my, whatever I've got to tackle today. And it's
Even if it's just
so
to say
true.
you tackled it.
Yeah. Because there are going to be those times. You're going to have to wake up and just deal with it. Right. But yeah, those first few minutes are very critical.
Man, what a blessing that is that we have days. You get to try again tomorrow.
Yeah. The whole YOLO thing, you only live once. I heard
Did you say
somebody-
yellow or YOLO?
YOLO.
Okay. I was gonna say the yellow thing?
YOLO.
You only live once. But
The
apparently those
yellow
people,
submarine. Yeah.
Yeah, YOLO isn't the same as like
So-
reincarnation Buddhism.
Right. So I liked a saying that I heard once, and I say it. When I hear somebody say YOLO, I say, no, you only die once, but you live every day.
Yeah.
Every day you can wake up and be a different person. And
Yeah.
like today could be the day that you change your life forever. Every day can be the day that you change your life forever.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Every day should be the day that you change your life forever.
Well, yeah, I mean, technically you do, right? Because you made some kind of decision that led you somewhere today.
That's one thing that I like to notice. There's a lot of people that are extremely rigid in their personality and identity, and they say, "This is the way I am. It's the way I was born. It's the way I'll always be." Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay,
That's because you're choosing to
right,
still be that
right,
way,
because you're changing whether you like it or not.
Uh-huh.
Everything around you is changing whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So you're making an effort to keep yourself and things the same.
Yeah, you're choosing to stay stagnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like keeping old proven ideas is a bad thing.
Right.
Because that's a good thing.
Yeah. Holding on to those things.
But
is
explore why you're holding on to it. Understand the reason why you think that is the right thing for you to do, because then at least you have a reason when it's ever challenged. You can speak about it. You can say, this is why I believe it. I've done it this way. I've thought through it. I've done this.
Yeah.
This is how I think and feel.
Retest it.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
Yeah.
say, was reevaluate every now, going back and, because it's like reading the same book again in a different part of your life, or watching the same movie again. You pick up different things. Like there's things that, movies that I've watched and books that I read before my divorce and then after my divorce. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Totally
The
different,
difference
huh?
in view, or like songs that you hear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like before I was divorced, I heard the song. I was like, oh, that's a good song.
Yeah.
And now I hear it and I'm like, okay, buddy, that I feel attacked.
Even the
So-
show Ted Lasso. I know you and I have had this conversation.
Yeah.
I watched Ted Lasso. Great show. If you haven't watched it, anyone that's listening, watch it. Go watch that show if you get a chance, because it's a great show. Number one, it's just good, wholesome content. But if anyone hasn't watched, I'm going to give a little bit of a spoiler here.
Spoiler alert.
He goes through a divorce, like the reason why he moves to England to go coach soccer instead of being in American football at some university in Kansas or wherever he came from.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Kansas.
Yeah, we're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy.
Yeah.
It is because of the fact that his wife wanted space. So he's like, I gave her 4,000 miles of it or whatever
Right,
the number
3,500
was,
miles,
right?
yeah.
And so he went to the other side of the world to go do something to give her the space. Well, watching that the first time through, I was still married. Hey, man, yeah, he's going through a divorce. Hey, that sucks. Then I went through it and I rewatched the show. I'm like, I picked up on all those little cues, those moments where he was like feeling something inside and you could see it all over his face. I'm like, oh, that hits different.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to cry at that moment. I was anticipating the one later when I know something big happens, but
Right,
that one just kicked me right in the shin, and now I'm down on the ground. You know, I'm in real pain now, and it's everything can be reevaluated. You just have to be willing to go do that work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's all such a good argument too, to go out there on purpose to to have experiences. I mean, you don't want to go out there searching for a divorce, but
No.
Right.
That is not an experience I would encourage anyone to go through if you can avoid it.
The last time I was here, I mean, it was still pretty fresh, the last time I was here. I mean, it still is pretty fresh.
Your divorce.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But just from last time I was here till now, I see things differently than I did the last time we talked. Me, my ex-wife, my current girlfriend, and a woman that I used to be engaged with, all spend time together on a regular basis now.
Oh man.
Yeah. So my other brother walked in the other day, and he saw me, my ex, my other ex, and my current sitting down, and he went, "Yeah, you messed up, buddy. I don't know what you're doing here." But it seems to work.
So you really do like struggle and challenges.
Yeah, I wake up every day and make life hard on myself. That's for sure.
I like it. Good for you.
It keeps me mentally tough.
I will say one thing though. I've witnessed this dynamic firsthand on a few occasions recently, and it does work. And to me, it's very weird because I look at that, I'm like, I can barely spend time with my ex, and it's not because of the ill feelings I have. It's just awkward, right?
Yeah.
It's not something I'm going to choose to do.
Yeah.
After knowing her my entire life, we're strangers again, right?
Yeah.
That's a weird feeling, and I don't want to go through the process of having to relearn that because the relationship's different. What we're doing is different. The way I view the world is vastly different.
Me and my ex became strangers while we still lived in the same house instead of after we split.
And really, that's the way it happens for a lot of people.
Is because we became strangers living and sleeping in the same bed.
Yeah.
She actually told me not that long ago that she feels, since we got divorced, that she feels more loved through our divorce than ever while we were together. And when she said that, I was like, hey, like, screw you. You know what I mean? Like, I felt very right off the top. It was like, hey, what the hell there, But the more, I look at things and the way I'm treating the people around me, I totally get it. And it's not just her, but I'm a much different person than when me and her were together.
When you go through something like a divorce, and I know I've shared this with you, and so I'll share it with you. For me, I had a really close friend of mine give me a piece of advice, I'd say within the first week of my separation with my ex. And that is, you're going to be asked to do things that you do not want to do. The season of ask that you're entering right now is greater than you can even comprehend. As a man, your duty is to love and care for those in your world, regardless of what is going on. Mm-hmm. You are going to go through some pain. You're going to hurt. But that does not mean it gives you a free pass to go be an asshole to those around you, to go be disrespectful, to not show up in the ways that you're supposed to show up. And so for me, even through the hardest of hard days, respect, honor, love. It may not take the same shape it used to,
right?
But it has to be that way because otherwise you're going to do so much more long-term detrimental, damage than if you don't do that.
Yeah, it's for you, really.
It really is.
I mean, you're caring for other people and you're being altruistic and benevolent and all that's great, but it's really it protects you.
It keeps you from harboring that hate and letting it take real deep
resentment
root because the moment you let that happen, good luck. It's going to impact everything.
He was talking about how thoughts are real. You know what I mean? And if you're, attention, same thing. If you're focusing on, oh, well, hey, they treated me like this, and they did this when we were together, and they did this while we were together, and how dare they think like that and say that. And, it's almost a slippery slope in a way, thinking about all the good times you had and all the nice things about the person. You get caught up in oh, what if we were still together kind of thing. But I try to focus on, hey, she's a good mother to my child. You know what I mean? Everybody has good days, bad days. There's days where I'm a great father. There's days where I'm like, you weren't present today, man. But overall, I think we both have our daughter's, best.
You got to work it out.
Yeah. And so like we'll have dinner together, and for the first like 4 or 5 months there, my daughter was like, hey, I want you and mommy in the same room. You know what I mean? And we couldn't make it happen, And so when we get together now, it's 3 or 4 days a week. She's at my house and have dinner, or at least stop by, and I see my daughter, and she, things like that. And it's nice to be able to have those moments where we're not fighting, we're not hating each other, and we're both putting her before ourselves.
Because that's really what matters.
There's still, there's always going to be feelings, with divorce. And different things like that. And we're attached whether we like it or not because we have a kid. So I'm glad. And everybody around us, even in her world, in my world, everybody's like, how do you guys do this? And it work? That dynamic we were talking about. Everybody around me is like, you got a harem of women around you here, buddy. What's going on? And it's not like that. It's not like that at all, It's a very positive atmosphere we're in right now, and it's really nice.
No, you've gone through real life change. Real pain, real struggle.
It makes me realize I must not be that bad if 3 women that I've spent time with, romantically, all are willing to be around me all at the same time.
They also see the value of the changes that you've gone through. Right? We're sitting here talking about life coaching and changing your thinking and changing your life by doing that. It starts with the attention, the thinking. If you can do that, even the people that you've had prior struggle with, even the pain, the hurt of all of those failures, collectively in that relationship, can still be overcome because of the power of positive thinking, the power of what change can come if you're willing to do the work. You can spend time with your ex-wife that's fresh. You can spend time with your ex-fiance in the same place you are with your current partner.
Yeah.
And it can be a positive thing.
They're all more friendly together than they are with me. That's what's crazy. They all
that
got
is
together
really weird to watch.
They're all really excited to talk and exchange ideas.
But they all latch on to you as a person, and they're willing to be in that because of their connection to you, not because of the pain and the struggle, but because of the change, the evolution you've gone through.
Yeah,
right. If it wasn't for that, and you were the same person you were when each of those things failed, there's not a chance in hell those 3 women would be sitting in that room together. Not a chance. Why would they ever put themselves into a spot like that? To be around negativity, to be around toxicity. It's not ever going to happen. Some people are going to feed off of it.
Some people choose it.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But 3? That's hard. 1, maybe.
Then you end up on a talk show.
Some Jerry Springer type stuff,
Yeah. So we're talking about, man, controlling your attention, controlling your thinking, and doing the work and stuff. Well, like a lot of people listening to that stuff think to themselves, okay, but what does that mean exactly? How in the hell do I do that?
Yeah, and that's where a coach comes in.
So I have some ways, but I want to hear what you guys do. How do you keep control of your thinking, keep control of your attention?
The first thing that
what does do the work mean?
That's a question, isn't it?
I think the first thing that anyone has to do is recognize that they're in the bad behavior, the bad line of thinking that they were before. That's the first.
Because first step's admit there's a problem.
Awareness.
It's awareness of what it is. So for me, what really helped was going to a therapist and having somebody else point out the blind spots, to put that mirror in front of me and say, this is who you are. Whether it hurts or not, congratulations, that's who you are. What are you going to do about it? So it's having that awareness of, this is how I think, this is the outcome of that pattern of thinking. Once you realize that, then it's a matter of real time going, okay, well, in this moment, this is what I'm thinking. Okay, let's focus on what you know for a fact to be true. I know this is true. I know this is true. So it's finding truth to combat the negative soundtrack that's playing in your mind, because we're all going to have that from time to time, right? You're going to tell yourself, I'm not good enough. I'm a piece of garbage. I don't deserve love. I don't do any. Okay, why do you feel that way? What's the truth that makes you feel that? What proof do you have that that is a true statement, that I'm not worthy of love? Why do you feel that? Is it because somebody told it to you? How do you know that they're right? What makes their opinion more impactful to your world than yours, right? So find
chances
truth.
Are they're not right.
Most of the time they're not, because we all have a value as a human being because of the fact that we're just a human being. It has nothing to do with what you've done, what you haven't done, what you're capable of. You're a human. Your life, you're breathing, you're here, you're present. You have value. Lean into the things that you know are true. The things that are going to combat the negativity, but also the things that are going to fuel the positivity in your. I am capable. I know I can. Right, so it's recognizing, finding the truth to combat the negative, lean into that, tell yourself those things actively. So like there are even days this week, I was talking about a motorcycle trip, right? Even on the bike, I'm like, man, I'm stepping into this transition phase in life. There's going to be a lot of challenges, and it's just feeling overwhelming. So it's like, okay, what do you know for a fact, man? Yeah, you knew it was going to be hard. Why is that hurting now? I know I'm capable.
Growing pains.
I know that this is part of it. I know that if I go through this and I put forth the effort, there will be positivity on the other side, whether it's what I think it is or not. So it's just leaning into the awareness of negative thought pattern, finding the truth to combat it. Tell yourself that actively.
Take responsibility, like we talked about before as well.
Yeah.
When you realize that you're in charge of your life, you realize that you can adjust what you're doing. Because if you think that everything's just happening to you, how are you going to change it? If you're not in control of it, how do you change it? You don't. Right, so you change yourself.
Something that really helped me is write those truths down.
Yeah.
Sounds silly, right? Write it down. Daily affirmations. I had a whole stack of them. I wrote them down, laminated them, put them right on my desk. I sit at my desk every day. Sit right there in front of my keyboard, pick it up, spend 5 minutes going through every one of them over and over and over. Go through the stack again, over and over and over. And if one really stands out to me, it's like, okay, that's the one. And just sit there over and over. I am worthy. I am worthy. I am capable, right? And just tell yourself that you can, right? Talk about changing your thinking. Tell yourself that what you want your life to look like. I guarantee it'll change it. It'll make you believe it. And then when you believe it, you're capable of anything else that you want to do.
Yeah, so
you really are.
The work part, right? Because we're talking about, acknowledging that work needs done. But the work part, the way my approach, at least in my coaching philosophy and in my own personal philosophy now is, you have 4 different banks that you need to feed every day. There's your, spiritual or religious one, right? Then you got your financial, or your job, that kind of thing. Then you've got your love life, the people around you that you care about, and then you've got your physical body, right? And they all have, a rating between 1 and 10. And when you wake up, it's good to evaluate where you feel you are in each of those banks and try to put a point into each one of those banks every day. So, when you wake up, if your goal is to, be a better father or a better husband, make sure that you're putting that work into that bank. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? What can you do today that would be better than you did yesterday for your partner or for your child or what have you? And so sitting down with a coach and explaining your day-to-day routine and how you go about things, and digging down to why you do those things. It's not that you do those things, but why are you doing those things? And it's kind of like Descartes. I don't know if you guys have ever read Descartes, but he's got 6 meditations, I think 7 meditations, I think is what it is. And it's basically where he breaks everything down. That's where the I think, therefore I am comes from. Mm-hmm. And so he literally broke everything down, all of his beliefs down to, what is the one thing I know is true? I must exist because I'm having this thought right now, right? And then he went back and rebuilt from there. Okay, well, because of that, what else can be true, right? And it's a way to break down your belief system, even if it's been instilled your whole life. Why do I believe that? We were talking about it earlier, And so when you go back and you break down why you have the habits you have, it's easier to replace them. Mm-hmm. And it's nice to have somebody else be able to point those things out to you, patterns that you might not see because you're in the middle of them. That's what's helped me talking to different coaches while I'm learning and doing the research that I've been doing for years. And it really is the ability to break down your problems or your philosophies and find out if they're wrong or not, or if there's faults in them or not. That is really, really important to doing that inner work we're talking about, for sure.
I've had a boss that had this whole leadership framework that he operates under, and one of the rules in that framework is support through inquiry. As a leader, the goal isn't to tell someone how to do something. It is to train them how to think, right? And part of that is guiding them through a series of questions that are going to have some self-discovery with it. And that's where coaching
Directed
really comes
questions.
in. Yeah. You may know the right answer. Sometimes even as a leader, you don't know. So you're asking even for your own edification, but you're asking for yours and for theirs for mutual benefit. And that's where coaching or having any trusted, person on the other side, like you were saying,
Which, depending on your definition, is coaching.
Is coaching, right? And, I mentioned a moment ago, is like, for me, it was a therapist holding a mirror in front of my face saying, this is what it is. Sometimes it's, hey, why are you doing it that way?
Yeah.
They see the world different, so they can ask a different question. Like, okay, so you said you do this. What makes you think that way? What makes you feel that way? If you were going to do it differently, how would you do it differently?
If you were going to solve this problem, how would you solve it?
Right.
That was a question that I got asked once, and it because I was like, I don't know what to do, and he said, okay, well, even though you don't know what to do, what would you do if you did know? And I was like, I just told you I don't know, But then I started really thinking, okay, well, if I did know, what would I do? And just having somebody say that to me was like, oh man, that's a good question.
I like to also, not just do that, but even, okay, you don't know. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
How could you get to a place where then you do know, so that then you can ask the question, well, I do know, so now what would I do? How would I solve that now that I'm coming from a place of knowledge?
Who do you have around you,
experience?
and what resources do you have that would allow you to figure that answer out?
Yeah. Sometimes it's not about having the right answer. It's about being able to find the right answer.
Yeah, you don't have.
How do you solve that problem?
Albert Einstein was talking about, I don't remember anything. I just remember where it is in the library.
Yeah, it's a waste of time to remember all the answers. It's an indexing thing.
Yeah,
so like I'm kind of a tech geek, right? So if you know anything about databasing, if you've got a large table in a database somewhere that has millions and millions and millions of rows in it, right? If you're going to just go, hey, give me that one, and you don't know how to go find that, the system doesn't know how to go find it, it's going to take all day. It's going to take. They're going to have to scan every single row, every single data point. It's going to take forever. Give it an index to it, table of contents, if you will. Go to page 317. You're going to find your answer. Congratulations. If you can do that in your own brain, I know where to find the answer. I don't have to know it. I just know where to go look for it. So when the time comes that I need it, I'm going to go find it. I'm going to pull that book off the shelf, go to page 317, and have the answer in front of me. That's the only thing that you need to know. Yeah. Really. Because when you get there, the problem is there. Go find the information, solve the problem, move on. Right?
So yeah,
it's having that ability to have that
putting
question
the work
answer.
in. I think another good way to figure out what your work is, because everybody's work is different. Everybody needs something different in their life and is lacking in different ways. I think finding out what your goals are, setting your goals, and then reverse engineering from the end to the beginning where you are now. Because sometimes it's really hard to figure out, well, if I'm here, how am I going to get there? Well, why don't you start there and work your way back? I remember as a kid, the little menu mazes and stuff like that. It'd say start and end. I always started at the end.
Absolutely.
I started at the end and went backwards. I never failed.
Because at the
end,
I
never failed when I did that.
At the end, it has an opening to get out.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. You know the solution.
There's only one way in there, right? But there's 800 other paths. Let's start at the end. Work our way backward.
I agree with all of everything you guys are saying. I'd like to comment on a few of the things. We'll go, like the thing starting at the end you're talking about. That's one of the things I do in my method that it's in my book is I have people create an actual vision to experience.
Yeah,
that's the end.
Yeah.
Like if you had this and we're doing this and we're like this and felt this way, what would it be like?
Yeah, practice. If you were happy in your daily life.
Practice experiencing it. Then get. And then you think about like, well, what did I do to get there? What does it take to get there? So really the question becomes, am I the person that's doing the things that to get there or not? Really, that's it. And when I listened to, because I think my question was, what does it mean to do the work? How do you get control of your attention? How do you get control of your thinking? And you guys gave some great input on that. And I like the way that you were talking about using a coach, using a therapist, using another person, an objective outside person. People can be much more objective about you than you can.
100%.
You're in your experience. You can never be objective about it.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. But it takes it takes courage. And my method actually teaches people how to discover for themselves the truth, which also takes courage.
Yeah.
And really sometimes when I think people, when they're asking to be motivated, how can I be more motivated? I think that they have a fundamentally the wrong idea. Because the idea I think they're thinking of is, how can I be motivated to do this thing that's going to be pleasant and going to help me?
Mm-hmm.
That's not really how it works. The thing that you have to do isn't going to be pleasant.
Right.
So really, I think sometimes people just need the courage.
Yeah.
They need the courage to do the thing and trust that they'll be better with the truth, stronger with the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it will turn out good. It will turn out fine. Actually, it'll turn out much better than it is now.
Yeah.
And
Facing that little bit of pain or that a lot of pain to get to the point where it's better is hard for a lot of people.
You know, as you're describing that, right? There's something that I don't remember the exact phrasing, but it was an inspirational T-shirt that I saw a long time ago. It's like working out is hard, but so is being unfit. Choose your hard, right?
Yeah.
Eating healthy is hard, but so is the pain that comes with eating McDonald's every day. That's hard too.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of hard.
My buddy makes a joke like that. What does he say? Oh, you just make fun of me for that I have to lift weights to look like this. You have to lift your ass off the couch.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. Like,
right.
which one would you rather lift?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's deep. I get it though.
Yeah. You're breathing heavy because you haven't walked. I'm breathing heavy because I'm walking.
And I'm walking hard and fast.
Yeah, and it's not like to make fun of anybody. The
all.
point is there are consequences to every choice. There's no such thing as not doing something.
Correct. Because
even if you're not doing something, that's something that you're doing.
Yeah. No answer is an answer.
Yeah.
No response is a response. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, how much do you think it matters what you're doing, or compared to just are you doing something?
I think that there's some value in both of those. But if you're in a place of transition and change, just the fact that you are doing matters way more than what it is you're doing. You're active. You're getting up. You're taking that step. You're having the courage to try. That's going to help instill so much self-discipline. It's going to help the confidence level. I feel better about myself today because of the work that I've done. I'm not in the best shape of my life. I was in the military. I had way better abilities when I was younger and all. Now I've lost a lot of weight in the last year, and that makes me feel better, but that's because of the work I'm doing and the fact that I believe that I'm worthy of it, that I have a better self-image. And it's not because I look good. It's because I tell myself that I'm worthy, that I'm capable, and I feel better about myself mentally. That it's going to manifest in the positive ways. And so I think if you're in the period of change, the period of transition, it's just the fact that you're getting up and doing anything.
I agree.
Get up and try. Because if you're not going to do that, it doesn't matter what it is you're going to do, because you're not doing it anyway.
I agree for a very particular reason. One thing about it is like, you can't control the universe.
Nah.
So like if you think like, okay, I'm going to have courage, I'm going to do this stuff, I'm going to do this work, I'm going to go through this process, I'm going to get to this exact result. You're going to be wrong every fucking time.
Every time.
Man plans, God laughs. I think
Yeah,
it's the
right,
saying.
something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not that having a plan's a bad idea,
Right.
but you have to also trust the universe to be your friend and to see what good will come of it. So to me, it's like it's 75% do and then 25% plan, because my plan will probably get thrown out a few times, but I'm going to keep doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes the results I get are incredible, but they're not at all what I expected.
Yeah, so I agree with you guys both, but I also think that a lot of people have the habit of thinking that motion is progress. You can run in place all day, you didn't go nowhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just because you're doing something doesn't necessarily mean that you're being productive.
Yeah.
It, like you guys said, I think it's great for your mindset, saying, hey, I'm up trying, I'm doing something. But that's where either, having a coach or reaching out to resources, doing the studying, the deep digging that you need to do to make sure that you're not just moving, but moving in the direction that you should be moving.
You're at least oriented in the right direction.
Yeah, an intelligent orientation. That's right. That's like pointing in a direction.
Yeah, and you talked about you have an outcome, right? So like let's use an obvious one. We want to go back to the moon, right? That's been in the news lately. We did it 50, 60 years ago almost now, right?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, there's some
Supposedly.
controversy.
If you
The
talk-
flag,
if
the
you
flag
talk to
waves,
Buzz
it's a little
Aldrin-
weird. Yeah.
If you talk to Buzz Aldrin, they didn't do it. It was an animation, and he's the one that was supposed to be there. So just throwing that out there.
We have a
conspiracy
believer.
theories are
We have a
always
believer.
He also believes the world. Never mind. No, but like,
Flat Earthers again. Yeah.
Let's say you launch from the Earth and you're going towards the moon,
Yeah.
and you're 1 degree off at a distance of, what is it, 290,000 miles or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
1 degree off over that distance, you're nowhere even close to the moon. You've missed your target
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands, if not millions of miles. I don't remember the exact calculation, but you're
It's huge.
way away from where you wanted to be. Right?
1% like the whole time.
Huh? Yeah, like if,
okay.
like you got
Right.
360 degrees in a
Yeah,
circle.
I
You're
kn- I know
1
that-
degree off. You're still pointed in the right direction when you start.
I know,
Right.
yeah, I do carpentry, so I know that effect very well. If I'm off a little bit here, like look at the 14-foot board at the other end, and it's like this much off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
And that's a short
Yep.
distance, right? So
Yeah.
like when you talk about like, hey, I have this perfect plan. I know what the outcome is going to be because I thought through it all the way.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when one thing goes wrong and you're 1 degree off, you're not that far off. If you're not paying attention, the 1 degree will go by and you won't even realize it. Right? Then you go a few more steps down that same path and you're still just 1 degree off of where you should have been. Eventually, you're nowhere where you needed to be. And so it's the beauty of discovery and the beauty of life of, I'm starting somewhere. I have an idea of where I want to go. I'm pointed that way. But when one thing kicks me off course a little bit, how do I get back onto that course? How do I reposition to make sure I'm still going in the right direction? I'm not that 1 degree off anymore.
That's the work you
Right.
need to do, is that
That's-
1 degree. You know,
Always,
and being able to spot that 1 degree when it happens, and
Correcting
if you
course,
didn't,
yeah.
if you didn't spot it when it happened, the ability to turn around and say, all right, where did we lose course, and why, and then you go back to that point,
And how far off
reevaluate it in
am
your
I
brain,
now?
and then go back to redo it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you can't go back in time, but you can
you can always
redo it
correct.
in your brain the right way and allow yourself to think through it in the right way after it's already happened. And I think that it has a big deal in doing the work.
And I think that when you go through that exercise, especially the first time, what you're going to learn from doing that course correction is going to help you identify when you get off course the next time. Right?
You'll start seeing those flags pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hindsight's 20/20, and it's very true, because when you actually take the time to stop and think through something, really reflect, look at where you went wrong, understand how you went wrong, the next time that moment comes up in your life, you can be like, no, not that, this, and this is the reason why. Right?
Yeah,
And
it's great.
That awareness that I was talking about too is like, because you did the work. Now you can be aware when the things come up in real life. Real time, you can do course corrections instead of being thousands and thousands of miles off of where you want to be, because the work to get back to the right path is so much harder the further down the wrong path you go. It hurts more. It's going to be more detrimental. You're going to experience more loss, more fatigue, more everything. That struggle is going to suck. How do you course correct minor adjustments? Little by little by little, it makes life easy. Right. And I think even earlier you talked about doing the hard things, right? Like even in daily life, it's the get up and do the hard thing just for the fact of doing the hard thing, right? Like that's the thing that's worthy of it. And the course corrections, it's not that hard when you get used to doing the little thing. It feels hard when you're starting, probably because you're way away from where you wanted to be.
Yeah.
It's going to take a little bit of time, but once you get back there, then it's just, how do I do this? How do I do this? Right? How do I do this?
I've always called that the bitch period. For you know, it sounds terrible, but like, you know, I worked at a sawmill for a while when I was younger, and that's where that term came from, because the first 3 months I was there, I was handling 20-foot beams that were 4.5 by 5.5 inches by 20 foot, 23 foot, and I was cutting 9-inch wedges to stuff underneath forklifts. And that was my job, was to cut 3,000 wedges a week. And I called it the bitch period because for 3 months straight, I was lifting nothing but these beams up onto a conveyor belt, pressing this saw down, and cutting these wedges. And I tell you what, physically, oh my God, man, it tore me apart for the first few months. But then after that, I was able to lift whole logs. Literally lifting whole logs back up onto what we call the green chain and things like that.
Got stronger.
Yeah, there was one point where one of my buddies that worked there, it was an 800-pound log fell off our saw, right? And the guy who was cutting it came down, and his brother worked down on the other end of this chain, and we met in the middle right there where that log was, and my buddy that was cutting it looked at his brother and said, all right, come down here with me. He's got that end. right? And his brother was like, no, no, dude. And then he said, dude, come here. And they lifted one end, I lifted the other. And his brother looked at me like, how did you? And I said, it's time, man.
Go be the bitch for 3 months. I guarantee you're going to be able to lift this
I got
end.
through my bitch period, which you're in right now, buddy. You know? And
yeah,
so,
there's a great lesson in that story, though. You know, it seems like in the West we forget about this a lot. Like, people see all of these difficult things they wish they could do. And the thing is, there is a bitch period to get there.
yeah.
There's a period of getting stronger in some way, whether it's your body or your personality, your character, your skills, your knowledge, whatever.
You're not going to be good at it. You're not going to be strong enough.
Yeah.
None of that at first. Otherwise,
Yeah.
everybody would do it.
Have
you
the
know?
courage to suck at something new.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you're going to suck at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oftentimes it does come back to courage, which I think is the way you guys were talking about the coaching piece. I also do some coaching. I have a couple of business clients. I coach them in business.
Yeah.
And one of them, she really wants me to give her all the answers.
Yeah.
And it's almost
Just tell me, right?
it's kind of almost like that's what she thinks she's paying for.
Yeah.
And I can see the thing that she actually needs isn't decisions. She's very capable of making decisions.
It's the ability to make a decision.
Yeah,
Or the confidence that she's able to make the decision.
right. So here I am just provoking her, like, I'm not going to tell you what I think you should do.
Yeah.
I'm going
This
to tell
is
you.
your
I'm
life.
going to tell you everything you need to know to make this decision. If you want me to give you,
Here's the facts of the situation.
yeah,
Or here are the angles you should be approaching it from.
Yeah.
But you still have to approach it on your own. You still have
Right.
to do the work.
But I was going to ask you guys your opinion, because I don't let her. I haven't let her in on the secret. I haven't told her like why I'm teaching her this, because I think it might be more impactful.
Yeah.
She just thinks I'm, son of a bitch that won't give her the answers.
Right.
Yeah.
You just-
Bait and
maybe he
switch.
doesn't even know the answer.
Right.
You know?
So
Yeah,
I'm waiting for her to get really mad at me and be like, all right, fuck this guy. I'm just going to make these decisions. And then she'll understand.
and then you'll get it. That's
Yeah.
the point.
Right. Because that is what you need to think every
is
day of
the
your
point.
life. Fuck these people. I make the
Yeah,
decisions.
it's my life. I'm in charge.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
So do you think this strategy is going to work, or is she just going to like fire me because I won't give her the answers?
Well, I think it depends. It could go one of two ways that immediately come to my mind. Either she's going to get to that point where she's like, what the fuck am I paying somebody else to do this for? I know how to do this. I'm just going to do it. Right? That's one way.
That's a success as a coach, right?
It is.
Yeah.
You did a fantastic job.
Now,
if that's where you're
obviously,
at.
you want it to be more cordial of a departure than that, right? You don't want them to get to a point where they're pissed off and then they have the confidence. But at the end of the day, the outcome is all that matters. You're
Yeah.
going for an outcome, and her having the ability to make her own decision for what she believes is right. Believe that that's right and step into it and make the decision, right? It's that confidence, that courage to do it. I think that that's a real outcome. But the other side of it is, and this is the shitty reality, is that if she gets to a point where she's pissed off at you, there's somebody else that's going to just give her the answer. And if she says, screw this guy, I'm going to go over to that other person over there, and they're going to give me the answer. And they actually do, instead of helping her learn how to think and build that confidence.
I think,
right.
I think
Now
that
she's
if
going to
that
end up in a
happens-
place where she's paying for something, and then 5 years down the road, she's going to be in another state
Yeah, so
where
you're-
now she doesn't have the tools to
You're
actually
saying
do the right
you're
thing.
saying maybe I should be like, well, I'm actually doing something here. Wait and see how this pans out.
I think at least letting her know that there is a plan.
Yeah.
Right? It's not that I don't know. It's I want to walk you through. I want to guide you through a process, not just give you the outcome. The outcome will come if you do the things that I'm asking you to do. Just so that she's aware that you're not just full of shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that's part
because
of
that
it.
is the thing, like you guys probably figured this out by now. Like, as a entrepreneur, a business person, there's never an end to decisions you need to make. If you're paying people for answers, you're going to be paying a lot of money for a
forever
lot-
and ever. You're
forever.
indebted to answers. at that
Yeah.
point. Yeah.
So it's incredibly valuable to be coached into, how to make your own free decisions.
Yeah, yeah. It's that's something that over the last, I'd say the last year solid. It's been more than that, but for the last year, I've been doing a lot of research and a lot of learning on coaching, right? And something that has been unbelievably valuable in my life is free consultations with other coaches. Let me talk to you. Let me get your ideas. As much as I can, I'll pick your brain during this free consultation and see what kind of approaches and what kind of mindset you have, and try to apply that in my life for a short period of time, or at least feel it out while we're talking and see if it makes sense to me. And I've probably talked to 200, 300 different coaches, and just pick their brain on, where do you start? and when you start, how do you go about it, and different things like that. And it's been phenomenal for my growth.
And
there.
it's amazing how you could probably hear the same 99 out of 100 things from every single one of those people. But that one thing that's different along the way is going to be the thing that's going to help add to your repertoire of thinking, or at least a topic to go discover and dig into more. As you're talking and describing that, the mental image that I have going on is I'm a big whiskey guy. I have been for a lot of years, and if anyone's ever gone to the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky, or just not necessarily hitting all of those that are marketed as that, but like go to multiple distilleries of any type, or even a brewery, their process is largely going to be the same. Right? You take your ingredients, you cook them down, you let them sit for a few days to ferment, then you put them in a still, heat them up to a specific thing, and make sure you cool it back down. You're going to get whiskey at the end, right? Yeah. They all do it primarily the same way, right? What's different from this one to that one? Why does that one taste better or worse? What are they doing different? Because 95% of the process is exactly the same.
Yeah, there's only like 5 things that really affect it.
Yeah.
But man, the differences are huge.
Ratio. Right?
That 1 degree.
How many times do you distill it?
Yeah.
How do you store it when it's done? Right? Those are primarily the things that are going to impact your flavor profiles. Right?
Yeah.
What's different about you versus that? So when you talk about free consultations, you're going to hear the same thing over and over and over and over. You're going to pick up on this little nugget here, this little nugget over here. Next thing you know, you got 100 different nuggets. You've got a whole different puzzle in front of you now that you're seeing things in a totally different way simply because you had a conversation with enough people.
It also made me realize, like you were talking about, you're coaching this woman, and how it seems like she just wants you to give her the answer, right? Mm-hmm. And I've realized that the coaches that I talked to, where I had an answer or I had a question, and they just were like, "Oh yeah, this is it." At the end of that conversation, I was like, I didn't get anything.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
They gave me the answer, but I didn't get anything from it.
Yeah, that's the other thing, because I could give her answers that will work.
If I'm here and you're here and you say, "Hey, this is where you need to be." Okay, I didn't make the connection or find the path to get there.
Show your work.
You showed it to me, but there's a blank map in between me and that point.
Yeah, you can't do it in the future.
I can't even tell you which direction that is from where I'm at, because my mind didn't make that path itself. And so that neural pathway wasn't built.
Right.
So that thought is not going to stick in my head because it was not built. It was a model of sorts.
It's the teacher telling you to show your work. How did you get 2 + 2 = 4?
Yeah, I was never good at showing my work. I'm not gonna lie. I had the answer all the time, and was
and
never able to show my work.
And you could tell somebody 2 + 2 = 4, but until they know how to actually add 2 + 2 to get 4. The answer is useless to them. It's just basic memorization. But if you can say, 2 + 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, congratulations, right? Yeah. It's the process of understanding.
How to figure. There's also another big problem if you give people the answers is it's just going to be, whatever she does will be a product of what I think.
Right. Yeah. And just because you think it doesn't mean it's right.
Well, and it might be fine.
Or may not be right for her.
It might do really well, but it won't be her realizing her unique contribution.
Yeah. Like she would forever come back and say, "Oh, well, if it wasn't for Dustin,
it will."
Yeah,
I would never be there. Well, no, it was because of you. I just helped guide you.
No, she could still say the same thing, but it's like, Dustin helped me understand why I wanted to do it in a certain way. He helped me on my journey. He did not give me the right step. He told me which direction to point and how to take the
And
step.
like he said, there was 2 outcomes. One, she finally gets to the point where she's like, "Hey, forget Dustin. I can do it myself," which is in reality a good outcome.
Yeah.
If she's prepared, right? If she goes the other way out and finds another coach that'll just give her the answer, she'll be back.
Yeah.
If that's the outcome, she'll be back, because she's going to realize when somebody else just gives her that answer. Like I did, there were certain coaches that I was even talking to him where, "Hey man, this is a guy that we should interact with." You know what I mean? And then there's other guys where I was like, "I'm not going to have a second meeting with that man ever." You know what I mean?
Oh, totally.
So I think that even if you continue down the path you're going with her and trying to guide her instead of giving her the answers, even if she leaves, I think, even if it's years down the line, she'll realize, "Hey, I probably should have stayed with him. Maybe I should call him back," because she was getting more out of it than what she thought she was.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's hard enough helping yourself. It's interesting helping other people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of communication there.
Do you think it's easier to help someone else versus help yourself?
No, I think it's easier to see what the problem is.
Yeah.
For other people.
Yeah, because you're more objective.
Mm-hmm.
But it's harder. It's more difficult to convince them. You know, there's this thing that has to take place for a change. A person has to have their own unique heuristic experience of discovering the problem or the solution or both.
Mm-hmm.
And once you have that experience of it, it's not like you just found the answer like we're talking about. Like
Right.
you have the whole experience of discovering or figuring or rooting out for yourself. So you know what it feels like, it tastes like, it sounds like. That's what you need. And however you can get there on your own or with a coach or whatever, that's what we're trying to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.